We don't see it.
Welcome, everybody, to this powerful conversation that we're having today. It's called Scaling with Soul. It's about how women founders grow, but without this thing called burnout. Okay, today's dialogue is literally about what it looks like to expand your business without losing yourself in the process. And we live in a culture that really glorifies hustle and constant motion. Wow, this is so timely. But each woman on this panel has chosen a different path for themselves. So likely we've chosen one that's rooted in alignment, authenticity, and purpose. So as founders, we know that growth can also come with pressure, like deadlines, visibility, leadership, and the constant pull to do more and more and more and more and more and more and more, right? But we're going to talk about something that looks like maybe scaling with grace or systems, and also this thing called soul, which we're going to outline today. So we're all here as a reminder that success isn't about doing it all. It's about doing what really matters, and also in a way that honors who we are. So as you listen today, I invite you to tune in, not just for strategy, but listen on the inside for some resonance and notice what feels true for you, and let everybody's journeys here reflect your own capacity to rise, your own sustainability, your own joy, and how it is that you can be fully aligned with your purpose. So let's dive in. And I'm going to put this question neatly in the center here, and anybody can pick it up. But there's this thing out there called work-life balance that a lot of people talk about, and it can kind of feel like a myth or this thing that is totally elusive and maybe even doesn't exist, but maybe it does. What does alignment look like for you in your season of growth? Anyone want to pick this one up?
I might come on in here if that's okay.
Yes, please, Katie.
I think growth comes when we're rested. I really do. I think we have to, there is a work-life balance. And as entrepreneurs, we don't clock off. Our mind is going all the time. And I think it's really important that we identify little snippets where we actually can rest, because rest is a productive activity. I am a big advocate for a daily nap. Like, I have a daily nap and it's a non-negotiable. But, sometimes I think, oh, I shouldn't really be having a nap. It's making me lazy. And actually, that's just, I think, how society has conditioned me to think. And I notice that when I am lying down for a nap, not only do I recharge and have a second wind for the afternoon, but I also get some of my best ideas. And it's when I hear from God more as well, is when I'm quiet. So I'm a big fan of resting when you can, because it's a productive activity.
Ooh, rest is productive. I bet you just shattered some people's belief systems with that statement.
It's so true, though. It reminds me of the people always say oh, their best ideas come when you're in the shower. There's a reason for that. It's because you've been bogged down all day with all of the things going on, even if that's just listening to music or podcasts or whatever it is. You're constantly taking in information. When you're constantly in that mode, you don't have time. Your brain can't possibly create. So I absolutely love that, and love the idea of a mid-afternoon nap. My favorite is I will sleep in. I usually don't get out of bed until 9, maybe 10 a.m. My kids are already at school. My son, he's 10 years old. He's so cute. He started making me coffee. I taught him how to use our espresso machine a couple of weeks ago, and he's obsessed with it now. So now the routine has been, I walk downstairs, I open the fridge, and there's my iced coffee, iced Americano waiting for me. But yeah, I think it just, it's a really overlooked strategy. Really, if you think about it, it's a great strategy, because as creators, as innovators, as trailblazers, our job is to literally think, come up with new ideas, contemplate, and we have to actually give space in our day to be able to do that. And without that, we can't really be fully in our power leading whatever our space in the world is meant to be. Kai, just to also expand on that of like, for me, work-life balance right now, I have a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old. My daughter's in competitive marching band. My son is in competitive soccer. We're literally in the thick of both of those seasons right now. So one thing that both my husband and I do, we're both coaches. We both work from home. That can be really challenging while also having family and trying to make time and space. So a couple of years ago, we decided our non-negotiable is that we put family things on the calendar first, business comes after that. And that is really how we've been able to prioritize work-life balance, because I don't know about you guys, but the struggle for me is like, I can easily sit in my office all day if I let myself. I will just get down a rabbit hole. And like, before I know it, I look at the clock and I'm like, holy crap, it's 6 p.m. I've been sitting here. Like, what did I do today? So, cause my mind is just going and I'm just creating, I'm on calls, whatever the case may be. So we live by our calendar also. And I have to intentionally put those times. Even I have my personal self-care times on there, my times for when I'm going to be in the sauna, or if I'm taking a bath, or whatever the case may be. I have to put everything on my calendar, because otherwise it's just not going to get done. And prioritizing those things on the calendar, such as family first, self-care, all of that. Really thinking about what you want your ideal life to look like. And for us as entrepreneurs, our life is our business is our life, and those things get very intertwined. And so just really thinking about what that ideal looks like for you, and not being afraid to block off those things on the calendar. If you have kids and want to prioritize being there for all of their events, having a family first, business model and all of that, like, you have full permission to do that. And I have found that that's really helpful for me.
Beautiful. I believe that rest is love. Rest is love for ourselves and our inner light and that beautiful soul we were talking about. It's the perfect example of the oxygen mask. In the airline, you have to fill yourself up first before you overflow to everybody else. So yeah, rest is love. I'm a crochet girl. I have hammocks all around my backyard. So when I have that moment, I'm out there, or I'm doing something. That crochet is my meditation, painting, being in the garden. That's all different ways we could fill ourselves up. Yeah, rest is love.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you for letting me know that it's okay for my calendar to not look like Tetris. I just started scheduling in, like, in bright blue, this thing called Play. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that could be something that gets to go on the calendar. I found out that our gym has pickleball. Like, there's all of these really cool things that just started to funnel in, because of what Sunshine, just said, because of what Sarah and Katie and what Cha is about to say. Like, these are the things that we get to be mindful of, to create what our lifestyle is. There's no have tos. There's a lot more get tos, than we actually realize.
Beautiful.
Yes, to chime in, I think everyone has said it very well. Rest is important. Play is important. Having schedules are important. I remember listening to Wayne Dyer several years ago, and when he was alive, and he was saying that there is no such thing as balance, because when you are at balance, everything stops. Like, that's the whole idea of having balance. Everything's even. there's no movement. And so in life, you really can't be balanced. You can't have this work-life balance. There's no such thing. I think it's having respect and intention for what it is that you desire. For instance, if you want to have a specific lifestyle, making sure that you are aligned with that particular lifestyle, making sure that you are putting things in order. I believe in the order of the divine, myself, family, friends, and then everyone else. And when you have some order and you see your life in a certain way, then you can respect that. So being very intentional about what matters the most. And that's when you start getting in alignment and you start showing up as your authentic self and you start doing things where you're not depleted. Like Sunshine said, that's my favorite thing is when you're on the plane, you have to put your face mask on first. And as women, we tend to try to put everybody else's face mask on and ourselves last, and to be very mindful that you can't save anyone dead, right? You have to be intentional about showing up and respecting boundaries and knowing what your boundaries are. And also just giving yourself grace. Like, I think grace is more important than anything because we do so much. We handle so many things. We're always there for everyone else. And then by the time we get to ourselves, we're depleted. So when you think about work-life balance, especially as entrepreneurs, we're trying to put so much creativity, so much thought, so much of ourselves into the business, which is our baby. And we know that when women have children, that's the first thing, like self goes last. Like you're like, self, I don't have time because the baby needs me, but the baby can't survive without you. So it's important that you replenish, that you put in perspective what is important. But what's very important is grace, because I think we have these expectations for ourselves. We have expectations for everything else and expectations for the goals we want to acquire. But you've done so much. Give yourself grace and allow that to be good enough.
I just want to add something, if I may, because that is such wisdom, all of everything that you have just said. And it got me thinking about, we are the boss. We get to make the rules. And we think about our business, but we also, you know, in the spaces that we're all working in, and probably a lot of the people who will be watching is in the coaching industry. It's in the industries where we're serving our clients. And sometimes we can forget about our own needs in our own business because we're always putting our clients first. We should be doing this and we should be doing that. Well, that coach over there does it this way, and that means I've got to. And actually, that's a lie. That's a myth. We get to design the business in the strategies that we use in the way that serves us. It's got to serve us before it can serve anybody else. And I think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to matter as much as the other people that are involved in our business from a client point of view, you know. And we get to choose the strategies that work for us and support the lifestyle that we want. And then from that, we can then serve with better excellence our clients. Like you say, you know, you can't look after anyone dead. I love that saying. I've never heard that before.
Oh, that was a great one. I want to ask this question, and like the timing on this is just impeccable, right? Especially for anyone who's been following me on my journey. This question, it says, have you ever had to slow down or even pause to move forward with more intention? And what did that season teach you? I'd love to hear about this one from everyone if possible. Please feel free to hop in on that. Yeah, Sunshine.
I actually just did it. I was divinely guided to a completely different state in April. where I had my business on Long Island, New York, and it was thriving, and I was hosting events 3 times a week. I had like 8 clients, private clients a day, and I was abundant in all aspects of my life, but I didn't feel that I was growing as for myself. And I actually removed everything from my life, my house, my everything. And I came to Alachua, Florida, and I happened to move next door to an amazing bestseller author 3 times, and his clients are overflowing to me internationally. So the minute I took that step of being comfortable, I was totally comfortable. I was good. But I noticed that I wasn't growing as a person, as a beautiful soul. And when I removed myself, I'll tell you, I've had the WTF month of expansion on myself, where, you know, I was the teacher, I was the leader, and now I'm in a community where I have peers, and you know, I'm getting triggered, and I'm like, wait a minute, when's the last time that happened? You know, and I had to remove everything to start fresh, but trusting the universe and God, knowing that I am going to be taken care of no matter where I am. And that's the faith, the faith, the grace and ease, I like to say, you know, of just trusting that everybody is divinely guided to each and every one of us. We all have something to share. We all have something to heal. We all have something to learn. I don't know if I answered the question. It just went up.
This is so encouraging for me to hear, you know, because I have been experiencing this like now. Like I've been in this now where I've had to slow down. Things have been going on in my family with grief and illness and things like that. And it's kind of made me stop, and I've not been able to pour my full self into my business. And I've been slowed down, but it again, like, you know, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, and I know that even though things don't go the way that we think they're going to, there's always a plan, there's always a predestined path. And there's sometimes we don't get the prompts where we take note and we kind of stop and evaluate. It happens to us sometimes to force us to stop and reevaluate and take a little slow down. And that redirection is, you know, I think that good always comes out of it, doesn't it? Even when we go through those unexpected moments where things aren't going as quick as we want them to, or the way that we want them to. And it's just so encouraging to hear that everything is falling into place for you. And I feel that for myself right now. It's caused me to stop and evaluate the way that I do my programs, and different ways of selling, and different ways of bringing in clients, different ways of serving clients in a way that is more sustainable. So everything just has this beautiful way of working out, doesn't it? Even when we are forced, if not choose to slow down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. You know, I'm into astrology and numerology, and I'm in a 7-year. And for anyone who knows about numerology, 7 years, that spiritual year of learning and absorbing things and not necessarily doing. And I was living in Malaysia at the top of the year, and something just shifted one day and was like, you need to pack your bags, get ready to go. I don't know where you're going, but things are going to unfold. And as life would have it, they didn't unfold the way I thought they would unfold. The power of just now, and, you know, just pausing, like was thrusted upon me. I had all these big plans and intentions, and literally all of those things went left. And what I realized was that, again, like Sunshine was saying, you're going to be taken care of. Like, you don't have to always know the next step. You just have to be available for as things unfold to move forward. And so I too am in that pause moment where not necessarily doing a whole lot, but I've just like learned, start studying different things, start changing my brand, just really got focused on what it is that I wanted to do and being very intentional about this moment, because you can get wrapped up in the doing of things and not get anything done. Because we feel like the busier we are, the more productive. And just because you're busy doesn't mean you're productive. And I had to really do some self-reflection. I was sick, and I was in denial of being sick. And so it made me stop. Just made me reevaluate what is important. And I think when you take a pause or take the opportunity to pause, then you can see all the dynamics that are going on. When you're like just in go mode, you're going.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about what you need next versus what do I need now? Because yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not promised, and all you have is now. And when you like really stay focused in what, and I have to be very intentional about this, because I'm thinking about, okay, but in 5 years, I need these things to line up. Well, if you don't do us now, you won't have those 5 years. So I think it's really important to really take that moment, breathe, and be intentional. I have to tell myself all day long, just this moment. There's no other moment. Just this time. There's no other time. Be happy in this moment. Everything else that you need will unfold just as you need it, because you have to trust the process. You are not in control of the process. You are a participant in the process. And so once I, try to focus on that, now I'm not a master yet, but I try to at least be mindful and intentional that this is a process. And the one thing I really learned is that this is a journey, and the destination is very morbid, right? Because when you meet that final destination, it's over. So really enjoy the processes of what life is giving you in that moment. And when you do that, what you'll find is like synchronicity happen. The right people. You'll end up in Florida next to the author. They have overflow. Like, how do you do that? But when you're trying to make it happen, you're creating a mess sometimes, because you're trying to orchestrate something that probably is not even divinely aligned with where you're going. And so just being aware and focused and intentional about being now.
And trusting that intuition is huge. Trusting yourself. Yeah.
I mean, obviously I've experienced slowdown in various different ways, but one of my favorite ways, especially early on, that this would happen for me, and I want to share because I'm sure it resonates with some people, but God always knew to talk to me through my money, because I grew up in poverty. I chased money and was very successful early in my career, but this whole roller coaster effect started happening, and I can trace back like every stop of money or every plateau of money or whatever always came with a lesson of me having to stop doing something, come back to like scaling with soul, to bring it to the topic of this, right? Because I would be like all of us are talking about, we're on that go, go, go. Before I know it, I'm making decisions that at the end of the day, in hindsight, I'm chasing because of money and not because of where I'm really supposed to end up. And God has a way always in my life of like shutting that door real quick, or making the money go away, or whatever the case may be. I've had some really crazy experiences, especially in my 20s, when I was really in that like hustle and just chasing the dollar and not really chasing the passion or anything. But in hindsight, it's always came back to that. And one of my favorite things is in 2020, I was scaling a business and doing a lot of things around, following the gurus and all these things I was just quote unquote, supposed to be doing, and burnt myself out really quick after trying to launch this thing after like putting 7 months of blood, sweat, tears into it. And I just had a moment where I was like super frustrated. The launch failed. I made $75 after like putting 7 months of work into this thing I was launching, and felt really frustrated. And the slowdown was not what you expect. It's not like, oh, I've got this great idea that then went and made me money. The slowdown was actually going and investing in a whole bunch of different things, which at the time was like 5 different mentors. I took 3-month complete hiatus from what I was doing and just dug deep into these different programs that I was part of. And what birthed out of that, because I came from, in the beginning of 2020, was very like all of my business was very, very around masculine constructs and all of that. And what birthed out of those experiences was coming into building a business based off of what I'm actually meant to be doing. And the money like just started like pouring in after that. Like the immediate, I think like 2 weeks after that last program ended, I made like $1,800, which I never had made money that fast. And then a couple of months later, I ended up making $10,000 cash in less than 2 weeks. And it was like, what is this? And like that birthed the whole momentum for everything I've built up into this point. And it's been consistent since then. But I had to go through all of those really frustrating parts and those really frustrating, what felt like stopping and restarting again moments that I lived through in my 20s, chasing money to then be able to come out the other side. So I think the point of me sharing this is just like looking at where the slowdowns are not necessarily the obvious slowdowns, right? Because now in hindsight, I can look back and see those money stops and like, it was really frustrating in the moment. And it was like, it didn't really feel like, what am I doing wrong? It was like everybody else was wrong because there was like a lot of things going on there with the different businesses. We had people that like scammed us, stole from us. There was all sorts of things that were going on. But now in hindsight, I can realize, I'm like, oh, all of those things were building up to get me to really trust what I'm supposed to be doing in the first place and not just making money for the sake of making money and really sacrificing my family in the interim of it. Right. So just looking at everything that has accumulated in your life and at this point and seeing where maybe there's like divine intervention a little bit of like getting you on the path you really need to get to. And where is that out of alignment with what you know deep in your heart you really should be doing?
I love that. Can I just back you up on the whole lesson there? I have a saying, and it's money follows mission, and we chase destinies, not dollars. And I think it's so important that when we focus, and I know this isn't a money conversation, but it's just too good not to follow up on that. When we chase money, we can become out of alignment with what we're divinely orchestrated to be doing. We lose focus of the why, of the purpose, of the reason, of the whole thing that lights our soul up, right? And I'm a Christian, so I believe that we all have a mission here on earth to accomplish. And whatever beliefs you have, I'm sure that you guys feel the same. And I think when we chase money, and we lose sight of the mission, that's when things become misaligned. And that's when we have difficulties and obstacles and challenges, and money dries up when you chase money. And it's like, no, money follows mission. Chase the mission, chase the destinies of the lives that we're called to serve and impact and lead. And don't chase dollars,
Yeah,
totally with you on that one. Totally with you.
I love that.
I love this, how we can find resonance across belief systems right? This is peace on earth. Right. So I just want to revel in this moment for just a second. And then I'd love to ask you all, like, what are some of the aspects of hustle culture that you had to kind of like relearn and reteach yourself? I'm over here learning a really painful one. I woke up with, I didn't wake up because I didn't really sleep, but I had like some really like pain going on in my ribs. And I'm like, what in the world is this? And I'm like, whatever it is, it's causing me to slow down. Like for real, for real. I had the revelation in my mind, right, the other day, but then it started to translate into my body. And I'm like, oh, this is really real, right? So what I had to overcome in that moment was powering and pushing through, as a mode of, like discipline or proving myself to myself, or, to be, this idea that I really didn't know what it was. But now to realize that there's actually something a lot bigger, than those pictures that I had of myself previously. Creating this room and slowing down is allowing me to step into something else, allowing me to become a bit more, not something that I could have planned, right? But something that I'm here and absolutely open to. So I'm so curious for y'all, what's going on? What are some of these concepts that we can politely, throw in the recycle bin, and what are you replacing it with?
Well, I believe that we are in a society that we put ourselves in a box, and that we have to be this or we have to be this. Why can't we be everything? And I like to say that it's a revolving door, because everything is temporary. And we're always learning, we're always growing. And maybe some of your tools in your belt are for something else, and it's important to not put conditions on ourselves. And it's important to trust the process again, and know that you are always expanding, and being able to do that is a beautiful thing. And thank the process, thank what you were, a half hour ago, because again, like Taz said, we are only living in this present moment, and being grateful is huge in that present moment. And always learning and growing and revolving is huge. I mean, I'm not the same person I was 6 months ago, and I'm sure none of us are, because we are doing that, and we are changing. Change is good. Change is love. Change is courage, right? So it's so beautiful.
I think for me,
go for it.
Replacing hustle has been very challenging, because growing up in a very male dominant era and time, and where all things had to be like a certain way, and everything is about the structure, and then trying to really navigate my softness, because I really teach about like how to have a softer life, how to be in your divine feminine energy. And there is a time and a place for hustle. Like when you really have to get things done, you can't just be like, oh, it'll happen and all flowery, right? Because then nothing would get done some of the time. And then there are times where you just have to be like, you know what? I trust the process, and me doing a whole lot of stuff right now is probably not going to serve me well. So I think learning how to be, which has been very challenging for me, has been one of my greatest assets, because I can think now about what it is I truly want, and then be more aligned with that, versus showing up, performing, and doing all the things that people say that you should do when that's not even my lane, right? You know, I think it was Sarah that talked about the gurus or whatever, and how, you know, you got all of these systems and all these things that you have to do. You have to post so many times a day. I'm not the social media person. I absolutely detest it. However, you know, it serves a purpose, right? And so just knowing that, you know, what's for me is for me. I don't have to chase, I can attract. I can be. And actually, I've gotten more done just doing less, not stressed, not chasing, not trying to manipulate and maneuver things, because, you know, my early 20s and 30s, I was hustling and trying to make things happen and trying to get to the glass, you know, ceiling, and I'm finding out it's a glass ceiling and that you're not going any further, or that just being able to say I have a title really isn't me arriving at anything, because that's something that somebody else wanted for me. And I just kind of accepted that that was the thing, versus actually taking time to be like, well, who am I? What is my purpose in this? What do I desire to have? And how can I show up authentically to have that thing? And once I started shifting into that mindset versus I got to do more, I got to show up more, I got to be all things to everyone, I just have to like really drive it in, which is very masculine. And I started stepping into my feminine, like femininity is so powerful. And it's the present powerful versus the demands powerful. I think you start replacing hustle with just the opportunities to listen and be available and to hear more. And all of us have some type of coaching that we're doing. And that allows us to be present, to be of service, to actually hear what our clients need, want, desire, and to be able to give them what they need as you are of service to them. And then you get the return on the investment by being able to be available. I think that in and of itself was like one of my greatest lessons, that because, you know, especially when you're taught that when you're doing more, you'll have more. And the more you hustle, the better the outcome will be. And then when you really realize that that's a lot of energy that you're actually giving away, when you can take your power back and then stand in it and be present in it, it just feels, it's the most empowering feeling ever to just be and to receive and be on the receiving end. And so I absolutely love it.
It's so important, that point that you've just made, because too many women, they see their worth attached to what they can do or achieve. And actually, sometimes, well, all the time, our worth is attached to who we are and who we get to be, not what we can do. And it's so important that we have that mindset shift, that perspective shift. And I totally second you in terms of releasing and allowing things to flow. Like, that's something that I think I've learned in this is when we try and control everything so tightly, we don't allow God's plan to unfold for our lives. We don't allow things to fall into place as they are exactly supposed to be, because we're trying to control. We're holding on too tight, and we don't give God the room to move. Right. So we need to just surrender. We need to just trust and surrender, let go. And that is where things that are meant for you will come for you. And so often we don't realize that we're repelling everything that is meant for us because we're trying too hard to control how everything's going to come out. And it's a real practice that you have to practice, though, isn't it? Like, yes. We're human. We want to take back control. No, I need to control how this is going to be. And actually, we're stifling and suffocating our own blessings from coming forth to us and doing it. So more letting go, more surrender. I'm fully with you on that one.
I love it. That's my biggest challenge. Is to like really in, and yeah, I'm here with you.
Trust and let go. We're going to trust and let go.
Yeah, I think it just comes back to like what you were saying earlier, Sunshine, and your whole story and experience. It's very similar to what I've experienced with really releasing the hustle mode and giving yourself permission to get out of the hustle mode that you outgrew 3 transitions of yourself ago, right? But like we feel like we need to hold on to it because we feel like we need that control to force the money to come in, to force the success, whatever. But actually, and like pointing to Sunshine's story that she shared beautifully earlier, when you release that control and then you're having a WTF month because exactly that, because you release into like the amazing possibility without even thinking about it, without even I forget who said it earlier, but somebody said earlier, if you tried to intentionally recreate that, it wouldn't have even happened.
Right.
You have to be able to release that and really come into this space of stripping away that performance model, stripping away the identity of whatever, wanting to hit 7 figures or whatever it is, and really coming into this space of trusting yourself and regulating your body and our minds to even be able to accept that possibility. I've seen this time and time again, not only with my own story, but also with my clients of like, they're stuck at a certain income goal and it's like, or income, not goal, but an income level for years, for months, whatever it is. And they're like, why can't I break through? I'm doing all these things. And it's like, as soon as we actually pull back and start simplifying things, all of a sudden the breakthrough starts happening. And it's like, yeah, this is exactly why, because you're such in force and control over what success looked like and having to make it happen. You're not leaving room for God to work, the magic to work, whatever resonates with you. But like, you're not allowing room for your being and like really stepping into the person who gets to have those things that you desire, not the person who's trying to force them to happen and then you become the person. Like it's, goes back to that saying, like, you be first and then you have the thing that you want. So for anybody listening that might be really struggling with, maybe you've been needing to release that hustle a while and you're still holding on to it because you've got to make this thing happen. Just release it and see what happens. You might be surprised. And what's the worst case, right? It's not happening so far. You're burning yourself out. Like, why not try something different, right? So that would just be, my share on that.
Can I just add to you, because I love the fact that you said and mentioned flow, and it makes me think of water. And water, it just moves, right? It just flows, but it is so powerful because the flow of water can actually etch stone and we forget about that. And you think that you have to go in and force things to happen, when if you're in flow, if you're in alignment, if you're showing up authentically and you're being present and very intentional about what you're doing, then you flow like water. And that same water that shows up so gently, you think about hurricanes and how it may pound something and it just totally destroys it. You think about the consistency of water continuously showing up and hitting a rock over time will erode it. We don't have to go force things to happen. We can show up like water. We can flow and we can get the same results and even more powerful results if we just allow and flow. So I'm so glad that you said that, because the flow is important.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. Time has been going by. This has been so much fun. Let's hop right into this last question, which is it's a question that can really serve everyone powerfully, right? And that is, who or what keeps you grounded when the pressure to perform or produce gets heavy? And please add in there too where people can find you, so they can connect with you out there on the internet and the cyber world.
I'll take this one first. For me, this is came with a lot of work. I don't really feel the pressure to perform anymore like I used to. But for me, it's always just anchoring back into who I am, my vision, like what I am creating for myself. I'm a big proponent in order to lead people, we have to lead ourselves first. And I think that a lot of times as entrepreneurs, or when we feel that calling to do something big in the world, we forget that because we tend to go into boss mode where we're leading everybody else into what they need to do, and we actually end up leading ourselves last. So for me, that just anchoring back into who I am, my mission, what I'm creating, and showing up from that place, nothing else matters. And the pressure doesn't feel heavy. It just kind of falls where it is, because I trust that whatever I'm doing, whether it's, showing up to get clients or whatever the case may be, I trust in people's ability to move and make their own decisions. I'm not in the space of needing to convince. So that has really helped a lot, especially compared to where I was, when I was telling that story from a few years ago. People can find me either on TikTok or Instagram at the Money Coach 888. I also have a free masterclass coming up next week called The Embodied Empire. So it's perfectly in line with what we're talking about here. If you're looking to really come into a space of full leadership and full transformation, not only in your business, but in your life, that's a great masterclass to jump into.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Some gold right there for those who are listening with them golden listenings. All right. Who's up next?
I'm going to go, if that's okay. I think
please.
I ran a training on this inside my membership the other day, actually, about performance. And actually, when we just become present, it counteracts that need to perform. I think performing comes from scarcity, from lack, from confusion, from needing to be accepted, from kind of judgment, fear of judgment, and needing to prove yourself and all of that kind of stuff. And I guess for me is the only person I want to impress is God, right? So as long as I am doing and being obedient and following what he's asking me to do, then I know I'm good. But we're human, again, like we've talked about this, haven't we? And we can go back to those human ways of thinking. And it's just important, I think, to catch yourself. And when you are feeling like you've got to perform, when you ask yourself where that's coming from, is there some kind of fear of judgment? Is there wanting approval from certain somebodies online or in real life or whatever it might be? And remembering your why. Like, I think for me, I have two different sections of my life. I've got my work and then my personal life, and they rarely come together. And I think recently I've realized that I get to be the full me everywhere. There is no need to be worried about fear of judgment or fear of acceptance or anything of those kind of things. So I guess just ask yourself, what is my why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And where is it coming from? And why is it showing its face? And just recenter back to that whole mission, the whole reason why you're doing this, and keep that to your focus, I guess. And where people can find me, Faith-Filled Female Entrepreneurs is my Facebook community. It is for Christian women in business who have mission-based businesses, and I help them to build profitable or consistent profits on social media through marketing, and all of that kind of stuff. So I would love to welcome you into Faith-Filled Female Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Katie.
Guess I'll go next. I was just going to say the exact same thing that Katie said. It's my why. I think that when you show up and you understand why you're doing it and you're tying it back to your mission and your purpose, then you're always going to be aligned. I think when you try to perform, you try to adhere to the pressures of life, no matter what when you start doing things based off of demand, you get tired really easily. And that's where the burnout comes from, because you're trying to meet somebody else's expectation and it may not be aligned with who you are, where you're going, or what you're trying to do. So it's really important to always ask yourself, and I tell my clients all the time, what's your biggest why? Why are you doing this? Why are you showing up? Why did you wake up this morning? What is it that you want to be intentional about? And when you know that, you can stay aligned with what you're supposed to be doing versus performing and adhering to the pressures of life, because we're going to always have pressures. We're going to have children that need us. We're going to have parents that need us. We're going to have society that is calling for us to do all different things. But when you don't know what your why is, then you start being scattered and you're everywhere trying to do everything and never on purpose. So I think once you really identify that why and you're aligned with it, then you start seeing that things will start showing up in synchronicity. You end up living next door to the author. You'll have overflow. You'll make the money. You're not chasing the money. All those things that we've talked about today will start to come together and culminate, and you'll have a more purpose-driven life versus a life that is, you're burnt out, you're tired, you're hustling all the time, you're trying to figure out when the last time did I eat? Oh, everybody else got fed, I'm the last to eat, and you put yourself on the back burner. I think that once you start doing that and you really get intentional, then everything starts to come together. As far as finding me, I have a new book that's coming out next week on the 11th, 11/11. And it's The Writer's Pathway, because right now I'm focused on writing as a healing modality, expressive writing. And my social medias are all at Cha Jones or the Cha Jones. I'm on Substack a lot these days, Facebook. I have a TikTok, not really that big on that, but Instagram, also Cha Jones.
Beautiful. It's my turn.
Oh yeah.
So fun. Yeah. Back to the question of just being, what do I do to ground myself is just being my authentic self, knowing that I've built this life, I've built this being of being and playing and just loving life. Like I said in the beginning, if I have 5 minutes, I'm going outside. I'm putting my feet in the ground. I'm going in the hammock. I'm doing things that bring me joy first. And then having this beautiful life. I know everybody is divinely guided to me because I do mini retreats now. I've been doing retreats for all over the world for a few years now, but now they're coming to me and they're staying with me, and I'm floating down the river every week with somebody in the tubes and just, doing sessions and just helping them find themselves and be in their peace and in their joy and being in the now moment. And all the answers are all within you, not having to go outside of yourself, outside of your body, and guiding everybody inward. We are our own healers. Every single one of us can heal ourselves. And we are our own gurus. I believe that when we nourish and inspire ourselves, we will nourish and inspire each other. And you can find me on my website, and Sunshine Warrior LLC is my everything, my business name and my Instagram and TikTok. And I'm just silly on there, and if you resonate with me, great. If you don't, that's great too. And I'm just here to love. That's it. Just here to love my life and hopefully teach everybody how to love their own lives too, with grace and ease. Yeah.
With grace and ease. I could
Yeah.
play that game. Thank you, Sunshine. We've got Sunshine's website up here and handle. We've got Katie's website up here. Sorry, Katie's handle on IG and Facebook. And also that's Katie's Facebook group. And I'm gonna do something and put this in the chat. I went ahead and made you a bit.ly link for your waiting list for your book. So it's bit.ly/writers pathway. Feel free to use it in the future if you'd like to use it too. It's there for you. Sarah, you want to type something in the chat for everybody so that way they can see where to find you as well?
For whatever reason, I can't comment through this.
What?
So yeah,
I had to
I
do
put it
mine on my
in the other
Facebook
chat if you can
side.
just copy and paste it over, but it won't let me do the public comment for whatever reason.
Oh, then we're gonna do that. Yeah, we got you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. SarahDumasCoaching.com, y'all. Okay, and Sarah's got some free master classes that you can link to on there. And if not, then look up Sarah Dumas on Facebook and send her a DM so that y'all can get hooked up. This was an excellent and timely conversation. I cannot say how grateful I am for you all to be here, to vibe, to talk about your personal experiences and share your wisdom so that people can learn from it now instead of having to learn from it from their own experiences or painful ribs. Like, this is an opportunity to really share and receive. So for that, I'm super, super grateful for all of y'all. And thank you. You, the one who's watching this, right? The one who's watching, you matter too. Thank you for being here and enlivening the conversation, being a part of it, sharing your comments, your thoughts, your questions. They have not gone unnoticed. And this is part of our why here is to share with you. So thank you for being here for this conversation in the 100 Women to Watch panel discussion. There will be many more. And remember to connect with each one of these women here. You go back, rewind, take notes on where it is that you can find them, and then we'll just see you next time.